I'd like to open the meeting of the Moose Lake City Council for Wednesday, February 14th, 2024 at 4 p.m. And I'd like to start with a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome all our guests here tonight. Thanks for coming. The first item is approval of agenda. I do have one addition. This would be under 6, new business. This would be the letter P. This is ordinance 105. And I'd like to request discussion on that and a possible amendment to that ordinance. Does anyone else have any changes, additions, subtractions of the agenda? None from the council. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carried. We'll move on to number 2, the consent agenda. This is 2A1 minutes. This is regular City Council meeting January 10th, 2024. Number 2, the Planning Commission meeting January 24th, 2024. Number 3 is a special City Council meeting January 2024. And number 4, the Emergency City Council meeting February 12th, 2024. Do we have any discussion or corrections on the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Moving on to 2B, the financial reports. Number 1, the city accounts payable for January 2024. Number 2, the city financial statements January 2024. And number 3, the liquor store profit and loss statement for January 2024. Is there any discussion, questions on the financial reports? Hearing none, do I have a motion? So moved. Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Number 3, this is a public comment. This time is reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Judy Oley, 325 Lakeshore Drive, Moose Lake, Minnesota. I'm here tonight because at the last planning and zoning meeting, on the agenda, they were going to talk about art gallery definition examples. And that was worrisome to me because there are so many different types of art galleries out there. And I just came to town with an art gallery, and I can't guarantee what the art gallery is going to look like. And our current ordinance is very vague, and that's the way almost every ordinance I've ever seen in a small community. They're vague because you don't want to alienate any possibility. Let them all come forward. Let's hear them all. So I would ask that you not spend any time, any staff time, trying to define what an art gallery is. I've given you a list of different kinds of art that I've thought about. And it's not all inclusive, it's all things that I've got an interest in, and some of those things I'm going to do eventually, but none of them are going to be all, and they're not going to be all at the same time. My ad that's going to be going in, the paper is very vague, or not the paper, but the paper too, but the chamber has a booklet that they give out every year. So it's just going to say art, new and repurposed art, featured artists, new magic pottery, rare music, literature, and we'll have a glass kiln on site. So that's what we're doing today, and if you have any questions about the gallery or anything else, I'd be happy to share.
Any questions by council? And nothing has come forward to the council to do such.
Okay,
At this point. So,
well, if it does,
yes, well, thank you. This is
I'll
good
be happy to
information.
help with research too.
Well, thank you.
Okay, good.
Appreciate it. Anyone else in attendance? Hearing none, thank you very much. We move on to departmental reports. This is 4A, interim police chief, Chad.
Councilors, Mayor Shaw, Administrator Owens. For the month of January, we had 111 calls for service. We had 9 business checks, which is down from last month of the month of December of 26. 45 extra patrols. There was only 27 in December. I did make that a priority that we got out and tried to do some more extra patrols, make sure things weren't going bad or anything like that, so did make that a priority. 24 traffic stops, there was 24 in December. 8 community engagements, there was 6 a month before. Not a lot of sports stuff going on anymore, stuff's starting to wind down, so the community engagements just aren't as much as we could do in the summer. 3 assists to other agencies, 5 last month. 21 other calls for service, there was 44 in December. Wintertime, things are starting to calm down a bit. And 1 medical call that we responded to, there was 3 last month. So total calls were 111, there was 135 the month before. I also just want to say that I know things look a little bleak with me being the only officer left down here, but give me the chance to bring this PD back to where it needs to be, or where the city can afford it to be, and I will absolutely do that. You know, there's a reason I haven't left already. I don't want to leave. I want to be here. I want this city to have a police department. So give me the chance to do it. I'm your guy. I'll make it happen. Thank you.
Good job, appreciate it, thank you. Also, just a quick thank you to the county officers also, because you have been present in the community during this time also. It's appreciated, thank you. Moving on to the city superintendent, Phil Etner. Department report for January 2024, and also the Moose Lake Campground Bath Hills renovation update.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Administrator Owens, yeah, we've had a busy month. I know there's not much for snow out there, but we still have plenty of ways to stay busy. We'll start in the water department. The water department distributed 6.7 million gallons of drinking water in the month of January, and currently working on the source water protection grants. Both of them that we have gotten the last 3 years in a row. We're putting together some projects and some submittals for different options for projects moving forward in 2024. The sewer department collected 11.5 million gallons of wastewater in the month of January. Our new NPDES permit did get distributed to us the first of the year. So we're still digging through that. There's a lot of information in there that we need to unpack as a wastewater treatment facility. But we're about halfway through it. We're doing good. The 2023 sanitary sewer lining project, I think we're going to touch on later. The 2024 sanitary sewer lining project, we'll be doing televising and cleaning on that project, for that project, in the next 2 weeks. So that'll be a portion of that that'll get taken care of. Most of the council knows we started a routine cleaning maintenance policy, program, that we put into place when I took over in 2016. We've already jumped ahead this last couple of weeks as it's been with no snow. We've been not super busy, but we're trying to catch up on what we tried to do during the rest of the summer. So we completed that. There was about 21,000 feet of 8-inch clay tile PVC, clay tile pipe that we did clean and service this year, or in the last 2 weeks. Just something to think about. We do that in-house. So all of the public works crew and water and wastewater technicians as well that we have, we do all of that ourselves. at the price of about $1.30 a foot, we're saving about $27,000 doing that ourselves, which is huge because this company's gonna need money. I mean, we're very strapped for finances, right? It's not fun. So I mean, just put that one in your back pocket. That's a big deal. That's a huge. The treatment facility, we'll jump to that now. We are gonna be doing a discharge the first week of March. I'm gonna be looking into possible other capacity saving options or capacity increasing options, there we go, that's better, for the ponds. I know capacity is a big thing we're talking about right now. And if in any way we can try to gain more capacity in our wastewater facility, is gonna better off us as a city and the communities that we serve through that utility as well. So I'm gonna be, there's gonna be a few trips across the state that I'll be going to for a couple of days, a little later on here into the year that I'll be looking into. Just some things that I think would be very beneficial for Moose Lake. Jump to the cemeteries. We did have 2 winter burials here last 2 weeks ago. Those did get completed, everything got taken care of there. There's some spring cleanup to take care of. The campground bathhouse, did you want to touch on that one here?
No, right now it's great.
Right now, okay, so once again, that's another project that Public Works took over basically general construction of. We did sub out anything that we didn't have licenses for, nor did we have equipment and materials for as well. With that project being complete, there are pictures in the packet that show the work and the upgrades of that building. Those pictures are not 100%. We're still waiting on the electrical contractor to finish up, but he wasn't done and we were by the time I took those pictures. So regardless, it looks way better. On that project alone, we also saved about $15,000 doing that work ourselves because we have the talent inside of the shop and the crews that you guys employ to be able to do this kind of thing. If we would have brought that whole price tag to you and added $15,000 on top of it, I don't know if we would have been able to do that. So well done to everybody in the Public Works Department, and then for the city as well to take that step forward to try to better that facility for the people of this town and for the campers that are in the campground. So just a couple things to keep in mind. The arena, that's running smoothly-ish. It's a lot of people getting burnt out down there, whether it's from different associations and employees and crew, the whole works. People are getting burnt out and it's coming down to the end. A couple weeks left here, about a month or so, but they're getting there. Recycling center, that's running as always. I have nothing new there. Training stuff. So about a year ago, I think you guys made me the training officer for City of Moose Lake, which was awesome, by the way, so thanks for that task. With that being said, all but the admin staff, police department, you're taking care of your own. Yes. We knew that. And there's one other small department too that has not done their safety training for 2024. Other than that, everybody else is trained. Everything is taken care of, everyone's signed off on, everything's legit, we're good to go. So that's been a huge pain, so thank you for that privilege. No, it's been a struggle, but we're getting there. But yeah, that one thing I want to touch on, that money savings, that's huge for Moose Lake. Total those 2 things together, the bathhouse rental and the sanitary sewer cleaning program, $42,000, which is huge. That's a huge deal, especially for a small community with a very small tax base. Any questions?
Looks great, the bathhouse, good
Oh,
job.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are gonna appreciate that.
I
Big
yes,
upgrade, it's been many, many years since that hasn't been upgraded.
Yes.
So.
We should have put befores in the packet as well.
I was looking for before as I couldn't find any.
It's night and day.
It was bad,
Excellent.
Yeah,
so.
greatly
Yep.
appreciated, good job,
Thank you.
Phil, thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Municipal Liquor Store Department Report for January 2024.
City Council, Mayor Shaw, Administrator Owens. Mari continues to do a phenomenal job down at the liquor store. Last weekend, all of our team members went through an update of ServSafe training through the MMVA, so just waiting on certificates. We'll put a copy in everyone's folder, and then they'll get a certificate as well. Her and I continue to make efficiencies in our point of sale system, so that's great. We've had some issues with MediaCom and the TVs down there, but we're working through that. And also we had Donnie Buck down there for entertainment. That went over super well, so great job down at the liquor store.
Questions, council? Good job, thank you. Technology and library department, I take that's yours?
Yeah, IT-related stuff. Yesterday, actually, we had our new server installed. It is not active and live yet. They just put it in the server room, make sure it works, stuff like that. There's still a ton of work to do on the back end. I've asked them to do a phased approach as opposed to everyone all at once, and then I'll be running all over the place trying to fix things. So they were gonna recommend that way anyway. So we'll do department by department. There will be a little bit of downtime for each, but we wanna make sure we get it right before we move on to the next department. We also installed our new copier up in admin. That's been going really super well. We will repurpose the old one. We're thinking the library, Laura could use it. Their old copier is falling apart. I'm down there a couple times a month fixing it. So we think we have a spot for that.
Any questions, council? Just a quick one for me.
Yes, sir.
There was, I believe, 2 computer station change out this year. Or was there just one?
There's actually 5.
5 of them going
Yep.
on? So they
Yeah.
have to come.
Those will start happening in March.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Going on to 4E, Cemetery Department, annual expense/revenue review.
Yeah, I wanted to give council visibility to the revenues and expenditures in the cemetery department for 2023. So just a couple of highlighting points. We used to contract out for services in the cemetery, and so those have now been brought into Public Works. That contract was around $14,000 that the city would extend for those services. So with us doing that in-house, and in addition to the columbarium, we are now generating revenue. So not only are we making up for the contract amount, but we are starting to gain traction with revenues as well. So with this analysis that's in your packet, it has the cemetery fund profit for 2023 at $24,254. That does include a one-time spike in revenue that we won't see, so some further assessment. We're looking at about $8,000 to $10,000 annually of revenue in the cemetery. And again, that's a swing from the $14,000 contract in addition to other expenses in the cemetery that we used to hold in that. So we've met our goal, we've exceeded our goal as far as now generating revenue in the cemetery, so it's self-sufficient. Operating expenditures are right about $7,000 a year. And so our total revenues in 2023 were $31,000. Again, that incorporates a one-time large expenditure. So really excited about the progress made in the cemetery fund. And if anybody has any, or cemetery department, if anybody has any additional questions, please feel free to let me know.
That's a huge turnaround from where it was a few years ago.
It's exciting, it's exciting. And we did have the columbarium expense, so we did, of course, invest as a capital project in the cemetery department, but it's working and it's really exciting. And the overall expenditures, as far as looking at a $7,000 operating expense every year, is a significant saving in itself. So saving on expenditures and also increasing our revenues, it's excellent.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Phil and his crew for taking that on.
Thank
for
you.
digging the
Thank you.
graves and all that stuff. We wouldn't be in this position without you guys, that's for sure.
Yes,
I was just wondering, how many boxes or have we sold in the columbarium?
I do not know that. I could find that out
one
for
for
you.
sure.
I was just,
We can certainly have that information for council next month. We can do another update.
I was curious.
Yeah, absolutely.
How that's going, and if we're gonna need to buy another one.
Yeah, well, sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Moving on, excuse me. Moving on to 4F, Parks and Recreation Department. A, campground annual expense revenue review, and B, the Riverside Arena annual expense revenue review.
I'm back. I put together a quick little campground snapshot for you fine folks. On the left, this is page 64 in your packet in case you need. On the upper left-hand side, you'll see the different sites. Walt, I thought you'd want to see this. So we have sold 9 dry camping sites already. So yeah.
Yeah.
This data is good through February 11th, so it's pretty up to date. And then on the right-hand side is a pie graph that kind of illustrates the same thing that's on the left. To TMI on colorblind, so I wouldn't be able to tell you which ones are which. And then year over year, so 2024, we're at 55,584.56 already through the 11th, versus 49,502.16 through the 11th the previous year. So we're ahead of the mark of last year, which was a banner year, about $6,000 ahead of the pace.
That's good.
Yeah, any questions on the campground?
It's been an exciting first 6 weeks.
It's busy for us.
Yeah.
Once the campground opens January 1st, it's arena. So I just want to say, first and foremost, we put a ton of work into the arena. Admin, collaboration with the school district, the hockey association has been wonderful. In essence, you'll see in bold on the right-hand side kind of the highlights of the efforts that we've put forth in the last year. So in the bottom there, 2024 operating deficit, we have cut that down to just over $10,000, which is amazing compared to where it was. Anything you want to add, Melissa?
Yeah, in the packet, on page 66, you'll see that the operating deficit in 2021 was right around $80,000. And so the work that's been put in over the past 2 years, we've changed operations, staffing, we've increased our lease revenues. We worked really hard on our advertising revenues as well. And so the modifications that we've made to cuts and then generating additional revenues, we have essentially moved the deficit from $79,000 to $10,000 projected in 2024. So we're really excited about that. We now have a new team goal. We are going to work in 2024 to make up that $10,000 deficit in additional revenues, because we feel like we've kind of refined our expenses as far as we possibly can. So we'll continue to keep an eye on them, and now we're going to push for additional revenues. So really exciting. There's been a ton of progress the last 2 years in the arena. And we're hoping to essentially move from the red into the black here in 2024 and 2025, and we'll most certainly keep council updated.
I just want to give a reminder, all of these changes were the ones that Alyssa brought forward and Ryan to the council on the changes, like the arena manager, the park manager, the contract at the cemetery. It made a initial savings of over $80,000 by eliminating those positions. However, a lot of it fell on the street department. And we did take some, and we did hire Taylor in the management to take care of some of that administrative duties that these other people did. So the savings, to me, is around $60,000 overall, plus bringing that deficit of the arena down. I don't think we would ever reach that.
We're getting there.
That to me is amazing that we're there. For years that has operated in the red, probably from the very beginning. So to make this kind of progress is fantastic, and appreciate to both of you the job you guys have done, and that Phil and Taylor, all four of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Shaw. Some of that is the partnership with Water and Light as well on the electric utility expenses too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hands in this pot. Everybody's trying to do their part, and it's really been a pleasure to be a part of, and it's been a fun goal to work towards. In addition, in your packet, Council, you have the Mighty Ducks application grant. So that was submitted on February 13th. We are eligible to apply for a $250,000 grant for a cooling system replacement. And so you'll see the application, the verbiage that was utilized. We are working in collaboration with the Hockey Association and the school, and we'll continue to try and find ways to fund the new compressor system without utilizing taxpayer money. So that's the goal for that as well.
Any further questions, comments from the council?
Thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Good job. Moving on to number 4G, the city engineer. We got the monthly update, February 7th, 2024, and Short Elliott Henriksen Incorporated.
Yes, so you'll see in the packet, we have the meeting minutes from the monthly meeting that occurred on February 7th. We are going to touch on most of these items within the new business agenda for the council meeting. I did just want to highlight one thing that we won't discuss later on. The updated pond capacity memo will be presented by our city engineers at March's meeting. So Short Elliott Henriksen will come in and present the updated pond capacity memo in March.
Questions by the council? Hearing none, thank you very much. Number 4H, Chamber of Commerce updates, monthly update.
Yes, we were able to attend the Chamber of Commerce meeting today. Essentially, a lot of event planning is kicking off. In your packet, you'll see that they have, the Chamber has established some dates for upcoming events in the spring and summer. We did discuss ways that the city will make sure that we collaborate and we continue to be a good partner with the Chamber on all the events. And so we've got some ideas and some process pieces that we'll work through and bring forward to council when we get there.
Any more comments or input? Thank you. We'll move on. Move on to number 5, previously discussed business, 5A's ordinance number 171, an ordinance amending ordinance number 127, an ordinance establishing use and rate regulations for municipal wastewater treatment facilities of the city of Moose Lake. Any update?
This is the third reading of ordinance number 171. This was provided to us by the city attorneys. We have met all of our publishing requirements and or looking for motion from council if council desires.
Discussion, questions, or motion from the council?
Motion to approve ordinance 171.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried, thank you. Under 5B, ordinance number 172, an ordinance revoking ordinance number 122, floodplain management.
Yes, once again, this ordinance has been run through the paces as far as readings and our publishing requirements. This is the third reading of ordinance number 172. In addition, we did have the DNR review it. This is, a lot of this is template based, and we've worked with FEMA and the DNR on this ordinance. They have provided their go ahead and thumbs up as far as approval from their perspective, and this ordinance allows us to participate in the National Floodplain Insurance Program.
So we do need a vote on this?
Correct.
So open it up for discussion or motion.
I'll make a motion we approve ordinance number 172.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to new business. Jordan had presented a packet for us that all of you have read. A lot of this information we have researched in the past. I know either the management and also the council and then at our public hearing. Is there any new items that you wish to talk about in that packet?
Or asking me, sorry.
Jordan, do you want to come up to
No.
speak some of it?
Sure, yeah.
You know, because we did have a public hearing and we're gonna do action on it, So try to keep it to about 5 minutes if you could.
Well,
Thank you.
all right, so I want to start out by saying that I've done some fairly extensive research in order to build that packet. And I want to start out by saying that the average law enforcement salary in Minnesota is $94,397 per year, or $40.97 per hour in Minnesota, assuming a 48-hour work week. The Duluth Police Department is currently hiring officers starting at a salary of $79,824 or $34.61 per week, also a 48-hour week. And I want to point out that if we do go with the county, what happens if next year or the year after that, they decide to bump it up the cost of the coverage to around $1 million for the same service? Given that it's a real possibility, because the sheriff's department would be required to purchase 4 new squads, plus hire 4 deputies. The county is already 4 deputies short, to my understanding, could be less, could be more. But how long will it take to get this covered as well? I understand that we only have 1 law enforcement officer right now, but it could take longer than us hiring, hypothetically speaking. The county wages are also currently close to $35,000 below the state average salary, for their hiring posts on the website. They're due to a major pricing or wage increase once their contract is up. And I do not think we can take the financial risk that is being proposed. Moose Lake is a tourism hub and visitors are generally the highest use of law enforcement services. That being said, I have come up with a budget proposal that would be paid for with an additional 1% sales tax and a potentially 2 to 4% liquor tax. This would bring in over $500,000 a year in revenue and prevent raising property taxes over 36% to achieve the same goal. We also need to attract more businesses and incentivize business growth. Yes, there's a moratorium in effect until May 31st, 2025 on sales tax increases. However, there is a workaround by going to the sales tax task force. This sales tax increase would pay for half the police department, along with wage increases for officers and the chief. We could also receive a large amount of funding by partnering with the Moose Lake Township, which from my understanding has voted it down in the past. But I mean, if we can somehow get to work with getting ads out to the public, I don't know if the city can do that or not, or if a person would be willing to. I would be willing to work on that if it needs to be done, but in the city's 2024 budget for 2 officers and a chief, the average salary amounts to $64,736 per year, or $28.09 per hour. That's $32,661 per year below the state's average law enforcement officer salary, or $15,000.88 below the loose available positions. We need to retain officers, not just train them for another department. In my budget, officers could potentially see a $10,000 wage increase based on my proposal and based on current salaries. We'd also see a rise in the number of officers in my budget from 2 plus the chief currently for 2024 to 5 officers plus the chief by 2027. This would also account for new squads, equipment, and rising prices. The unfortunate fact is that prices are rising for everything and going to continue to rise. We would be better off being proactive instead of ending up in another predicament like we are now. I don't know if there's going to be a motion made today to vote on, or you guys are even going to have the option to vote for the police department, but I would highly recommend voting for it. Our intern chief is a great resource for the police department as well as the community. I personally have worked with him professionally and is an outstanding law enforcement officer that treats everyone with an unsurpassed amount of respect and dignity. As a community, we cannot afford to lose him, but he deserves an answer so he can make a choice that is right for himself and his family. So just to kind of explain my budget to you guys, there's
Jordan, I gotta cut
Am I out
out.
of time?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we do have that data, and the council had a chance to look through all of it, and we appreciate that. That's greatly appreciated. The council have any questions for Jordan?
I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for your
Yeah.
time that it's been a pleasure speaking with you and hashing things over, so thank you.
We appreciate the work you went in, spending time to do it. It shows your passion for this, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you. It's good information for us, too. Before we go on to 6B, I should make a statement. In December, we did fund our current police department. So our current police department is funded. And we don't have to make a motion to approve our department. The motion, if there is one, would be for a contract with the county. So just so everybody understands that, the department is funded, and you don't need a motion if no motion comes forward tonight. We keep our department as it is. Granted, we funded it at a certain level, which was 1 chief and 2 officers. And if that's how it goes, then that's where we start from. And up to the council to work through that process through the year and into the next year, if that's the case, to grow it again. I just wanted to make sure everyone was clear on that. That's who our current status is. So with that, moving on to 6B, City of Moose Lake policing discussion. I'll open it up for discussion from the council.
I would say since we had a public hearing and then we brought an individual that brought information that was their perception of what they desire. I think it'd be appropriate to have the city administrator go through these slides that are on here that bring up every point of view. I would like to see that. Since we didn't, everyone didn't get to see all that information as well.
Is that feelings of the council? We should have consensus, make sure we're moving ahead that way. Chris? You're really good. Greg, you're good?
I'm fine, we're talking about
Okay.
doing it again.
Reviewing the data from the public hearing. City administrator?
Sure. So the preliminary budget process was, we engaged in that in September of 2023. There were some operational changes that occurred. For example, there was a change in union, and that contributed to a very significant increase in health insurance costs for the city. So with that, there was a 28% increase from the 2023 budget to the preliminary 2024 police department budget. That is what initiated this assessment process and due diligence by the city council. The preliminary budget, that number that came forward in 2024 was $894,748. So with that, the assessment was, at that figure, it would utilize 87% of the city's property tax levy. So that began the work from city administration and council as far as the most fiscally efficient and effective way to provide law enforcement services to the community. The 2024 city property tax levy is $1,030,069. At 87%, the preliminary budget figure again was at $894,748. This would leave the remaining 13% of the property tax levy and state aid to fund the additional 15 general fund departments. The council looked at 3 different staffing options in order to decrease the budget from the preliminary figure. Option 3 was selected. That is with a police chief, 2 full-time officers, a part-time administrative assistant, and that option was funded at $687,850. At $687,850, the police department is still the highest funded department in the general fund. So council has prioritized law enforcement and public safety. The service model that is currently funded in the 2024 budget, again, includes the police chief, 2 full-time officers, and a part-time administrative assistant. The operating budget comes in at $567,850, plus our duty disability health insurance budget of $120,000, leaving the rough operating cost at $687,850. There are other costs associated with the department that are not in the budget. Those have been assessed and analyzed. There's about $62,000 in miscellaneous expenditures related to staffing. Legal costs of $22,000 per year, that's a 3-year average. Workers' comp premium increase, that includes the experience modification factor of $67,400 per year based on our current claims. And then there are revenues that were considered in the assessment process as well. So with the police state aid, it's about $46,500 of revenues that were then deducted off the amount, leaving the total operating assessment cost of the Moose Lake Police Department for 1 police chief, 2 full-time officers, and a part-time admin assistant at $792,750. This would provide us about a Monday through Friday, 8-hour coverage, leaving 4 hours open on Monday through Friday, and then weekend hours open as well. Open shifts on the weekends. Now that could be changed. We could modify and do 8-hour shifts that flex throughout the week, so it wouldn't always be the same days open. But essentially, daytime shifts, we would have 5 8-hour shifts between the course of Saturday to Sunday. With that model then, we would have 2 nighttime officers rotating in 12-hour shifts. Hypothetically, this gives you full coverage over your nighttime shifts. What is not incorporated in this service model breakdown is the need for open shifts due to paid leave, sick leave, vacations, things of that nature. Throughout this process, the City Council requested a proposal from the Carleton County Sheriff's Office. The Carleton County Sheriff's Office has provided the City Council with a subcontracting proposal for 4 deputies and a part-time clerical. The subcontracting proposal for the 4 dedicated deputies came in at $631,220. Throughout the course of dialogue and engagement in the contract process, a couple of credit items have been established. A credit of $25,000 for police state aid, a credit for $4,500 for the phone, fiber, and copier services, and a one-time $57,000 credit for the vehicles and equipment transfer between the police department and the Carleton County Sheriff's Office. There are a lot of other items that don't have monetary figures associated with them, but have been discussed. These items that are essentially services that the Carleton County Sheriff's Office has to provide that are not monetized within the proposal. Those coverage pieces are training costs for FTO, overtime, shift differential, evidence room management, investigations, court-related overtime, supervision, and a city council liaison. The Carleton County Sheriff's Office proposal amount in full is $544,720. The city does have the duty disability health insurance obligation that is steady regardless of what option is selected by council tonight. If you add that $120,000 back in, the cost of operating law enforcement services is $664,720 for the city of Moose Lake. There's a mock schedule provided in the presentation. It does show that there's 12 hours of coverage for all daytime shifts and all nighttime shifts. Now that comes with a disclaimer. There will be open shifts in occurrence with paid leave, sick leave, and/or vacations. if the council engages in a subcontracting proposal. This proposal does not include overtime for, to cover those open shifts. There's a summary within the presentation that was presented at the public hearing. Again, it just itemizes both options that the council has been reviewing. The city of Moose Lake could elect to operate the Moose Lake Police Department for 3 full-time officers and a part-time admin. That option is, the cost of that option is $792,750. The Carleton County Sheriff's Office has provided a proposal for 4 deputies and a part-time clerical. That proposal amount is $544,720. With our health insurance duty disability obligation, the cost to the city for that law enforcement policing option is $664,720. That concludes the presentation that was provided in summary at the public meeting.
There's just one more item I will point out, that during the conversations at the public hearing, those that were present and spoke either for or against, there was 15 residents spoke for our own city budgeted, that we have currently budgeted, and there were 3 that were for the county proposal. Just so that you know what the breakdown was of those present. There were some people from the township that were present and others outside of our area, but they did not come forward and speak because we wanted that input from our residents. So that was a breakdown of those who chose to come and take the time to speak. So with that, again, I will open it up for your discussion and comments. Yes, Chris?
Yes, I can go first. As I'm sure everybody knows, I've been very publicly speaking that I am in support of our own Moose Lake Police Department. All the people that have come forward to me, that I spoke to, and of the community members, it's all been very much in support of our own department. I did receive an email, and like I said, I was out the day we had the public hearing, unfortunately. And there were apparently 3 that spoke against it, but I believe that the city has very much spoke that they want their own police department.
I'll ask, I think I've asked twice, and I'll ask the 3rd time if there, I didn't state it, I guess, as clearly, if there's any motion other than what we have already approved in our budget.
I believe there has to be, Mayor, and I will make that motion. And I would ask for, during the discussion, to explain myself, if I may.
Sure.
I'll make the following motion: that the city enter into subcontracting law enforcement services, directing the city attorney to draft a law enforcement service contract in consultation with the city staff. Unfortunately, these actions would eliminate the city of Moose Lake Police Department.
Okay, so your motion is for a contract?
For a contract,
Very clear,
correct.
very clear stated. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
So we'll open it up for discussion.
If I may, since I made the motion, here's why. There's been a lot of discussion. I've had the exact opposite experience as Councilor Huso. I've had numerous members, law enforcement members, former Moose Lake law enforcement members, and we've heard some that have the exact opposite. The comments that have been made to me is, unfortunately, if you're looking at this financially and if you're looking at this from a law enforcement standpoint of protection for the citizens, every single person has said this is a no-brainer if you're looking at this financially, and the 173 shifts that are extra in the county, it's very hard to make that up. Looking at those 173 shifts, that is not in the budget that's been approved, and that's going to come in at a cost of around $100,000 to fill those shifts, if those shifts are filled. The county and what those 173 shifts would look like if that person worked every single day shift, you would go to the Moose Lake Police Department from January 1st to June 22nd, and you would not have any law enforcement person answering the door, because we would not have that coverage under this plan that's been proposed and approved. The cost has already been stated. The county has, their top 3 positions has over 70 years of law enforcement experience and over 30-some years upper level management experience. We do not have any at this point. We do have somebody that has stepped up big time in Interim Police Chief Chad Patterson, and I have a lot of respect for Chad. The county has investigations. We do not. They have 3 investigators, 1 full-time drug investigator. We have 0. And talk about field training. I was a field training officer from 2003 to 2019. The county has numerous FTOs. We have 1. So if you're going to try to get a police department back up to full staff, you are looking at 9 months to do that. There is no squad in the budget. The squad was taken out of the budget for 2024 because we do not have money. So you're looking at $40,000 to $80,000 for a squad, plus what goes into the squad. And I also want to say the final thing is that there's brought up about we can rebuild this, we can make this department back to what it was. That is the whole problem with small communities like our own. All the communities since 2018, I've reached out to every single one of them, and I've talked to them, and you could take their name out of the issues that they had and plug in Moose Lakes, it's the same. We do not have the tax base to keep doing what we're doing, unfortunately. That has nothing, it's not negative towards any of the law enforcement personnel that have donned the badge. I greatly respect each and every one. But every single one of them that I've talked to said that it has been a really good fit, and they're glad that they made that change. I did not make this motion lightly. It is a very difficult thing, and all of us have done our due diligence, but the numbers are there that support it, and the protection for the citizens is 173 shifts different. So that is why I made the motion. Thank you.
Any other statements before I ask for a vote?
Yeah, well, you've heard what I've said over the last number of meetings. One was that I was elected to be fiscally responsible with the taxpayer and citizens' funds. And if I was to choose the Moose Lake Police Department, I would be spending more costs for less coverage. It would still lead us to be open to liability and future duty disability insurance claims. I brought up other problems with our budget in other areas at the last meeting. We have to look at the city as a whole. I brought up our infrastructure problems with all the projects that we have to be done that need to be done now. That's going to take us around 250 years to do what we do now. And we'd be simply kicking the can down to future generations to afford those costs, and that would be impossible. We basically have another police force that no longer works for us, that's on duty disability insurance. That's a huge cost. Carleton County has more resources, like Councilor Jutman said. You know, raising taxes isn't really an option for me. I can't see raising taxes to cover this. on all the older generations and say the widows in town that are all living off of fixed income during these times of high inflation. I don't know if you guys saw the inflation reports that came out yesterday, but they were not good. Inflation is not going down. That's the reason why the stock market tanked yesterday. We only have a 29% tax base that we would be forcing these tax raises on. It's a very difficult situation. Everybody here at this table has looked at this, and everybody at this table respects our police force. But unfortunately, I see it as no longer affordable to the taxpayers. And reluctantly, I would support going with Carleton County. That's what I have to say.
Any comments for any other counselors? Yes, sir.
I have nothing against us having our own, other than the fact that well, probably more than one. The major one is that we can't afford it. And other than that, I've looked at somewhat of all the same thing that you've looked at. And I believe we can cover all of the things that a local police department can cover along having the county cover it also. And having them here 6 months to a year later, the officers that'll be here people will feel towards them the same way that they felt for the people that were working here before, because they will be part of the community. I mean, how long ago? I didn't even know who that was. And I didn't know who the officers were before. I mean, as far as I growing up, I only remember Frank Sinkowski, a gentleman that lived up on the hill. And he didn't even have a uniform, for Christ's sake. He told you to get your ass home, and you went home, because you sure hell didn't want your parents to find out. So, I mean, times change, and times have to change, and this city can't afford to have its own police department. That's my thought. That's all.
Chris? Yes.
I just wonder, as the years go, what about the increase in Carleton County's contract? How are we going to handle that? We're gonna have no control over that. Commissioners are gonna change. The contract is obviously gonna go up and up and up. So, what are we gonna do then?
So are the costs. So are the costs for here, right? And I get it, you're passionate, and I'm not trying to be anything other than respectful, but I believe in the leadership that the county has. I believe that the leadership that's coming up after Sheriff Blake, I believe in that leadership as well. I believe that they'll be fair to the city of Moose Lake, and I believe it will be a good fit.
Chris, do you have any more to add before I speak?
No?
In analyzing this over the past 6 months, maybe even longer, I've looked at this from both directions. And right now, the two proposals are within 100,000. They're not much difference, really. Other than we would have 3, and the contract would have 4. Now, we've already passed the budget for this department, so this year is covered. Granted, we could go either way, but our department is covered. We only have 1 officer. And I know training for the county would take just as long to train new officers as we would to fulfill that. That's my belief, and I understand your belief. Also, I see an opportunity that funding the department next year very easy. We do have over 100,000 in safety monies right now that isn't spent. We also are looking in August to apply for the monies from the state to reimburse us for the money that we spent on the individuals that have gone out on medicals. So we're gaining back quite a few. If it is as much as they say, we'll already have a couple $100,000 for next year's budget on the department without even going into the budget farther. Also, we are not gonna spend as much as we budgeted. But in fact, we only have one officer. Until we hire and train more, we will be adding more money into that we can use for next year's budget. Being said, we can easily budget next year's department right now, planning ahead. And that's not even looking at the COP grants that people keep throwing at us to go out and look for and get. But I mentioned it last time, you gotta be careful what grants that you apply for. They're great if they're fund you in a continuous fashion, but if they're 1, 2, or 3 years, they're great. You get the money, you hire somebody, you train them, and then the funding ends 1, 2, or 3 years later. All of a sudden, you're back to right where you were. You have to come up with 100 and some thousand for an officer. So grants are great. We go after them all the time. I think in the last 5, 6 years, we've gotten more grants than we had in the past probably 40 years. And we're gonna continue in that fashion. A lot of grants are 50-50 match. It's great to get a road grant that's for $1.5 million, but you gotta come up with $1.5 million to match that. So there's a lot of things with grants. You have to really be critical thinking when you go into it. And I know the administration has done a great job with that, and that's appreciated. And you councilors have supported those grants, and we'll continue with that. But that being said, I don't see where we need to rush in and make a decision this year. We're already funded. Next year, we're gonna have enough to fund it again with what we already have in savings, and also for coming in August. To me, if you rush in too quick on a decision on a department, you can't turn it around. You go to a contract, and all the equipment and the vehicles and everything has been sold or donated, however that's gonna happen, you're gonna need $500,000 or more to start up again. I would say don't rush into it. You have time. You've got this whole year. There's nothing saying you can't ask this next year if the budget or inflation eats all up what we do have. I would just say, I would keep status quo and keep our own department that we have. That is my opinion, and looking at all the different options in the budget and what money is there and possibilities. Granted, we will have open shifts. When I came on board as a mayor in about 2005, we were at that level. We had a chief and 2 officers, and they've been a chief and 1 officer. Can't quite remember, the years kind of slipped by. But we did just fine. Granted, the county has to back us up, and we will back up the county when needed. The county was here back then when it was necessary. That's not gonna change. All of you are taxpayers in the same county. That'll always exist. Puts the pressure on Kelly, unfortunately, I'm sorry. That statement, but that is a true statement. Through the years, it wasn't until, I'm thinking maybe about 7, 8 years ago, that we ventured into 4 full-time officers and a chief. Up until then, we were not staffed at that level. We took a chance. We looked at different options and decided to try that. The budget could have supported. We still had open shifts. That didn't change anything. So just thoughts of thinking, because I'm gonna ask for a vote here in a second. So with that, I will end. Is there any other statements from the council before I ask that vote? Before I do, I would appreciate all of you for spending time, I know hours and weeks, months, it's been looking at this issue from every angle, talking to people, getting input. You guys did your due diligence no matter how it goes. You guys did a great job as a council, and that's appreciated. And same with the administration. So with that, I will ask for a vote. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have 3 ayes. Those against, say no.
No.
And my vote is no. The motion carried. Direction from our attorney with that. There were certain things that we needed to address. We have a chief of police who is sitting there in limbo right now. We need to make a motion to dissolve our department, or do we wait till the negotiations are completed? I'm guessing we should wait, but that puts our to me, he has an option to do it everything he wants.
Yes, the attorneys have provided council with the proper steps and the motion that needed to be made in order to subcontract. At this point in time, the city will engage in contract negotiations with Carleton County. And with that, there'll also be independent processes relevant to a separation agreement with interim Chief Hyson.
Okay, there's a lot of questions that come forward to this, which I haven't heard yet, and maybe they'll come up with, we start negotiations, what our coverage will be. The chief could leave tomorrow if he chose to. There's nothing holding him here. Who's gonna cover it? Is the county gonna cover it only when there is normal circumstances that cause you to come down here? So we're gonna go through an interim phase where we're gonna have less coverage than we have ever had. I don't know how long it'll take to get those employees or trained up. If we wanna look at a longer term contract with our own chief, yes, well, you're funded till it's.
I'm not going anywhere immediately, but obviously I'm gonna start looking, so I'll be here as long as I can.
That's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
You've done a great job, and it's greatly appreciated. And I, for one, I'm sorry it turned out this way, but when you do a vote,
I
you
totally
follow the
understand.
vote, and then it's your responsibility of the whole council to work together to make it the best option that it possibly can be.
I totally understand.
So, thank you. Those who wish to leave, you definitely can at this time. Before we move on with the rest of the agenda, I'll do a 5-minute recess so people can move around and leave.
Mayor, may I just say one thing?
Yes, you may, absolutely.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the council and the people of Moose Lake and the citizens here. I know this was a very difficult, very heart-wrenching decision that has been made, and there's been a lot of conversation, a lot of discussions, a lot of thought that has gone into this. And I realize there will be a transition. I absolutely, I said it at the public meeting. I think communities, if they can, would deserve their own full-time, fully staffed police department. Unfortunately, obviously that is not where you're at with the budget. And having said that, based off of this vote tonight, I just want to assure the council and the citizens of Moose Lake that as your sheriff, I promise that we will do everything we can to provide the best service that we can to the citizens of Moose Lake. It is going to be a transition because I cannot hire 4 people by tomorrow and have them trained up. But I fully intend to work with Chad Pattison as long as he's gonna be here. And, we will work this out and we'll work through that and ensure that the public safety is a top priority for the citizens of Moose Lake. Now, of course, I cannot dedicate somebody here by tomorrow, 4 people. But with me today, I have my Chief Deputy, Dan Danielson, as well as our Patrol Lieutenant, Doug Rada. And we, of course, will get to work on this. We currently have a posting open for hiring. So that doesn't close till this end of this week. But we've already been working on some other pieces if this was the direction it was going to go. And we just want to make sure that we will assure people that we will provide the best service that we can. And certainly if there's any questions, because I know there may be questions on behalf of the counselor or any citizens that are out there, to call me at the sheriff's office if there are questions about how this is going and what's going on.
Just one statement, we have a very highly trained officer that I'm going to be applying.
And having said that, I did encourage him to apply. I cannot make him apply, but I did encourage him to apply.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate your statements here tonight. I hope that puts a lot of the citizens at ease and counselors, and we appreciate that.
Thank
I
you.
look forward to working with you. We're going to, I guess, be busy for a while.
Yes, thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll do a 5-minute recess. Let's start hitting it. Oh, boy. Thank you for all you do. Hope you feel better, Chris. Good luck. We may have lost turnout. All right, moving on with the agenda. We're back to 6C, residential development concept design discussion. Administrator?
Yeah, so the city administration and Mayor Shaw, Councilor Juckman, and the city engineers and the developer have all been working in collaboration and meeting with one another regarding the residential development. And so what you'll see in your packet are 2 concepts, Concept A and Concept B, regarding a design option for the residential development. Now, throughout the course of these meetings, it has been established that Concept B is preferred by the engineers, by city staff and the developer. Essentially, everybody is on the same page that Concept B allows for development a little bit sooner with access to Moosehorn Drive and eliminates the need for a whole nother road's worth of infrastructure, as in Concept A, with the houses facing inward towards the development, and then there would be the need for a whole nother road in front versus utilizing the existing Moosehorn Drive in order to access those lots for building multifamily homes. So throughout the work that's been done, Concept B is the preferred concept. However, I wanted council to see both Concept A and B in case any additional questions or discussion was desired. And so relevant to Concept B and the work that has occurred at the smaller meeting level, in the packet there are a couple of different estimates. Now what these estimates are different variation of utility and road designs. So For example, they're all relevant to concept B. One is for a rural design, and then the other two are for urban design that include storm sewer, curb and gutter, and sidewalks. And so at the very bottom where it says assumptions underneath the estimates, that first line is gonna tell you which one you're looking at. So there's a 24-foot urban, a 30-foot wide roadway urban, and then the rural 24-foot wide. So wanted to give council visibility to the different design options. So what will happen after council's discussion this evening will be whatever the preferred approach is, whether it be road width and or additional infrastructures. That information will be sent back to the engineers. They will then take these estimates, and what they're going to do is they're going to provide unit and quantity information to the developer. The developer will take that information based on the desired concept and design, and then go out for and look at estimations and bids in the contractor world to see if the project pencils for the developer. So this is going to be utilized as a tool moving forward for additional planning. There are a couple of different components here that have been discussed. We did discuss with the city engineers and with staff. Superintendent Etner weighed in with his expertise as far as utilities are concerned. The desire to initiate this process with sidewalks, curb and gutter and storm sewer. Some of those metrics build in longevity as far as the roadways and integrity of the road is concerned. And so we've had those discussions, but want to open up dialogue to the whole group forum. Obviously, this project has to happen. So what we want to be as smart as we possibly can be and intentional with our design selections as well. And so those are the things that we're working on and the conversations that we're having on the engineering level. And so with that, I guess, Superintendent Etner, do you have any pieces of dialogue to contribute regarding your thoughts on road width and or some of the infrastructure and design segments?
So just a couple, for example, we look at these widths and you see 24 and 28 and 30 and whatever. And to put in perspective, 4th Street is 28 feet. Talbot Drive, Kenwood Drive, John Brown Drive, that's 24 feet. Just so you're aware, I mean, you look at the numbers, the numbers change drastically for the roads, and it's a big deal. I guess at the end of the day, this project needs to go. This needs to happen. As far from a utility standpoint, I don't. Everything is included in there. I would love to see as wide a street as we possibly can put in there with curb and gutter. I think it would be wonderful. Does it work financially? I don't know. Maintenance. So it's kind of a horse apiece, Greg. You're either going to have blacktop and concrete, or you're going to have blacktop and gravel for a Class 5 shoulder. It's not necessarily. I mean, we have a mixture of it throughout the entire city. One way or the other is it's really 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You're going to have less maintenance with curb and gutter for sure. I will say that.
Clean up in winter.
Clean up in winter. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All those things we've already discussed and thought about. We have both scenarios currently in town that we deal with. So it's not like if we go to one of these options, it's going to be a whole new change in operations for us. So.
Question, was there, I know we talked about like, can it be like 26, 28 feet?
Absolutely.
26 feet, because we got 24 on one end and 30 on the other.
Yeah.
And it could be a 28 urban or a 28 rural.
Correct. There's a lot of options out there.
So besides, just so the council knows, besides what's here, you could go give them a direction, say, a little wider than the 24, because they are wide, or they are narrow on John Brown and on Talbot,
They are.
very narrow. Two cars meeting, you couldn't have a pedestrian on it, or a bike.
Without,
It is really tight.
without a sidewalk.
Correct.
Yep.
Where this does include encompass sidewalk, all three options.
Include a sidewalk.
They're in this cost estimate.
So the rural concept, which is the most economical, correct?
Correct.
Sidewalk is on the north side, one side, correct?
That's been yet to be determined, but there would be sidewalk included on one side, yes.
Just one side?
Yes.
Okay. So to me, a rural, it wouldn't have the drainage, another curb and gutter, in other words.
Correct, it'd be open ditch.
Open ditch, but it would have a sidewalk beyond that ditch, correct?
So that's out there too. It could be right next to the blacktop, or it could be on the backside of the ditch.
Okay,
Yep, that's.
but that would include a sidewalk,
I'm sorry.
it would include the sidewalk, and then the cost of the drainage I'm taking, because that's ditch, really cuts down the price.
Correct, because of the lack of concrete. Curb and gutter that consumes a lot of concrete.
And you would have to use storm drain system.
Correct.
And that brings the cost up almost, looks like 800,000.
It's almost $1 million.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, as I'm looking at this, I don't see, it says a four-inch concrete sidewalk, but there's no unit in there. There's no price in there for that. It just says unit price $7, and there's no amount. So there is no sidewalk, I don't think, in
Good call.
I don't think there is one in the rural plan, so.
I just noticed that. Good call.
Because
Yes.
in our meeting that we had, the engineers said that it wouldn't work because you have the culverts there. So there would not be a sidewalk in that plan, in the lowest plan.
But they have done them with them in them though. I mean, it is feasible to do them.
But it's not in this pricing.
Correct, that is correct. I was mistaken, yes.
No, I know we discussed another option, and that was, I don't know, I was told it was possible, a rural on one side, where you have the ditch. On the opposite side, you could have gutter, sidewalk, and the concrete gutter, I guess you'd call it. So you could do variable.
Sure.
So you'd have the curb and gutter and sidewalk on one side and a rural on the other.
Sure.
Thank you for bringing that forward, Mayor Shaw. I do want to reiterate, it's not selecting one of these. These are just examples. We couldn't possibly give you estimates for all the different variations. It's just, what does council want to see? If we for sure want to see sidewalk, and council wants to direct staff to make sure that sidewalk's included, but wants a rural design and doesn't want to prioritize curb and gutter, or 26, 28, we can do any variation of what council would like to see. It's essentially just giving us direction to then move to the next phase of the pricing bidding.
Yes, sir.
This is, design is not necessarily gonna have to have incorporations for playground and stuff like that, right? This is basically for residential,
I don't think there's a playground in that.
so there's no playground in this.
No.
So,
There is the school just,
that's what I mean.
Across the
Actually,
field.
So I
yeah.
would look at, my thought would be towards, right now would be the sidewalk, and then thinking ahead of where you're gonna do later for the other properties, connecting with the school.
So yourself, your direction is toward the 3 million.
Somewhat of an urban, because for,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do with the other property alongside of it that goes towards the school.
You wanna follow through with the same development ideas that you'd start with the first, so whatever we select tonight, we're kinda pushing that towards the future development too, in the same, because they will be one, in essence, one community there.
Time is of the essence, but there's, one type of conversation that Superintendent Entner and I have had is, if moving forward and planning for curb and gutter and sidewalk and the urban option and selecting whatever road width is preferred by council and then just seeing where we end up. I think the developer has communicated that, ideally, he would like to see those metrics in place as well. It adds value to the lots and to the development itself. It has to pencil. So, we can start with a threshold and push as hard as we can and see what we can come up with. Time is of the essence though, so we don't wanna double around too many times, but that's absolutely an option.
Maybe I'll ask us this way because of that. To maybe set the parameter, and that is to get consensus. Do we want sidewalk? Let's not talk about anything else. Do we want sidewalks?
I would like to see sidewalks.
At least on one side?
One side.
Yeah.
One side?
One side.
Okay. So we're looking at an option, so the rural is out. So that brings us to the other two options. 24-inch road or 30-inch road. Now you can select, you could do a 26-foot or 28-foot. You don't have to go 24, you don't have to go 30. You don't have to go the largest. So you know that it's gonna be somewhere in those two cost realms.
Yeah, I think there was a recommendation of if we went with a sidewalk, 24 would be out. I thought possibly, I'm not sure, but I would like to see us look at a 26 or something that is, as long as it works for snow removal. I think that we could also do signage for snow removal and vehicles not allowed to park on the street during, they do it in Cloquet all the time. We could get by with the smaller roadway, but I don't think 24 is going to quite cut it.
I'm gonna throw something in there too, but in our strategic plan that I'm sure everybody looks at, that we talked about as we do developments that we look at room for bicycles within our road system. Because we did sidewalks down here, we didn't even look at bicycles on that 4th Street, but with 24 foot and jumping to 26, would there be enough for parking and, small bike lane?
That would be a question for our engineers.
Oh, okay. 26, you okay, Walt?
I'm all right.
We're just hanging tough.
I'll take some more.
So I guess maybe that's the next question, the width. I know you like it as wide as possible, which makes sense.
Yep.
Parking is hard on 4th Street. If there's any at all, it looks like one side only. So I guess I'll ask that of the council. Let's talk about, I know you mentioned 26.
26 and 28 I'm fine with. I just think 30 is going to be stretching. If we keep stretching and stretching, I think we're not going to have a developer, and we want to be breaking ground by June 1st.
Rick?
So you're at one, yeah, you're only gonna make 30, 26 or 28. Ideally, it would be 28, but you can get 26 is good.
Walter?
I think 24 is a little narrow. I'd like to see it around 26, 28 myself.
Okay. So how does that help us?
It
27
To
feet?
start with.
Well, so maybe I can ask the engineers to include a column for quantity based on 26 and 28, so to give the developer both, so then the developer can go get bids on the design for 26 and 28.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Common sense tells me the developer's gonna go for 26. because it's his money he's putting forward.
As long as Phil can do snow removal with that.
And maybe, you know, we should, 26.
So, like I said earlier, we have 24-foot wide streets in town and we do just fine.
I'm fine with 26. If we all have consensus,
Okay.
it makes it so much easier for the developer and for our engineers.
Okay,
Greg, you good, 26, Walter, 26?
Yes.
All right, 26 it is.
thank you.
So, we're done with that, correct?
I don't know. I'm
Just,
thinking about that.
just to verify, everybody is okay with concept B?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Greg?
excellent.
Walter?
Yes.
And I'm too.
Okay, thank you.
Very good, thank you very much. Thanks, Phil, good job with this. On 6D, rezone request, Northland Lawn Sport and Equipment, 21-010-2900 and 21-010-2880, also 21-010-2860, and the last lot is 21-010-2560. This would be to kind of finalize what has been going on in those lots for the past 60 years. Yes, sir.
I have a question on that. What happened to all the taxes we lost on that?
So,
As far as how that
Well,
was,
he's been using all that as commercial property now, and
it,
he's
you
been
know,
paying residential property.
what has gone on it past by past councils,
Yeah, I
we
know.
can't,
You have to look at who was on the council at
Yeah.
the time that he acquired it, never mind.
this goes back so far, I don't even know what year it was, it could be in the 60s. Well,
It was after the railroad left.
yeah. So, any other discussion by the council?
I thought maybe he'd get some more money out of it.
Hey, if they put buildings on it, there probably will be.
It was approved by the planning commission. I would make a motion to move forward with the recommendation of the planning commission.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carried. Moving on to 6E, Northland Securities Public Utilities Rate Study Professional Services Agreement.
yes, so, the council approved ordinance number 171 this evening. That essentially is setting the stage for the continued work with establishing sewer fund rates and/or a sewer service charge. In addition to that, council had requested that the city administrative staff engage in a utility rate study. So we've done so with Northland Securities. They actually did the water rate study about 5 years ago, maybe 6 now. And so with that, we were able to engage. They have a lot of our documentation. They've agreed to conduct a water and sewer rate study. The price was significantly less than we had anticipated, so it came in at $9,880. I provided a calendar or schedule of activities moving forward. We've already engaged in the data collection and review process with them, so they had provided Superintendent Etner and I a list of all the type of financial documents that are needed to conduct the rate study, and so we've already done the information transfer, and so we'll keep council engaged. I know the council had approved up to, I believe it was $30,000 to engage in the rate study process for I guess, from a technical standpoint. I do have the services agreement in here that the council can officially pass.
And they did do a good job for us the last time they did the study.
I was appreciative of their willingness to engage with the water fund again as well. They had done it recently, but inflation has just absolutely made it so a lot of those recommendations are no longer relevant. So I was excited that they're willing to engage in the process with both of our funds, and looking forward to having good information to share back with council. The tentative timeline for completion is June city council meeting. As of right now, they're planning to engage in June and present the findings of the rate study.
So, council questions, discussion or motion?
I'll make the motion to engage with Northfield Securities for professional rate study for $9,880.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6F, general fund checking account discussion. Alyssa? Ryan?
Drop your phone. Yes, so you'll see a communication I received from First National Bank. They actually came and talked with me as well. They recommend, it's their recommendation, that we switch general fund checking account numbers to a whole new account number due to that forged check that we had several months back. Yeah, it creates an astronomical amount of work, I believe, to do that. And there's no guarantee that someone just won't intercept a check again and do the same thing. But I completely understand where they're coming from and why they have to recommend that. But we thought it'd be best to bring it forward to you fine folks and see what your thoughts are on it.
Council?
It says in the letter that if we do not take the recommendation, they are washing their hands of all future liability, does it not?
Yeah, they could do that, yes.
Yeah, so I don't think that we really have an option.
Yeah, I think it's a smart thing to do. Anyone else? Discussion or motion?
Motion to change the account number.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Sounds good. We'll let you know how progress is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I should ask you, is there a cost?
No cost. They said they'd help with the transition. I don't know
Okay.
how far that goes, their help with it, but it'll be a lot of work.
Moving on to 6G. Cummins Sales and Service Generator Maintenance Agreement.
Yeah, starting in your packet, starting on page 130, there is a planned equipment maintenance agreement for the main lift station generator. This is something we've done in the past. It's just time to renew. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
This is something we have to do.
Yep, this is, I would highly recommend, you do not have to do this, no, but I would highly recommend it, yes.
Hold it up for questions and discussion by the council or motion. Or train Phil in generator maintenance.
Motion to enter into this maintenance agreement.
Do we have a second?
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Moving on to 6I, Short Elliott Hendrickson SEH 2023 sewer lining fee amendment request.
Oh, let's go, Mayor Shaw, can you do H?
Did I skip H?
Sewer line?
Why did I do that?
It's okay.
All right, 2023 sewer lining project. Instafoam Technologies USA LLC pay application number 1.
Yes, so in the agenda, you have the first pay application for the 2023 lining project. The amount due for this application is $120,573.99. There were some monies withheld. The city is currently engaging in dialogue with the engineers and the contractor regarding some of the processes and project components, and so we'll continue to do that. Essentially, we're just, and the engineers are making sure that the city's absolutely getting their money's worth for all the different dynamics that happen within a project. So doing our due diligence in the background will provide more information, but this particular pay app is a partial, and the amount due is $120,573.99.
Open it up for discussion by the council and just a statement, it sounds like you were satisfied with the job they did.
I am satisfied with you guys approving this payout, yes.
Thank you. Council,
Motion to approve.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now we're into 6I, Short Elliott Hendrickson SEH 2023 sewer lining fee amendment request.
Yes, so, just as a reminder, we initially, the 2023 lining project, we were going to do a different segment of town. We had engaged in all of the processes that happened with the lining project, and it came back that that project was over budget and that we could not continue with that project. So we went back to the engineer, Superintendent Etner generated a secondary project. And so we circled back and now we're getting to the point where we have utilized all of the funds related to our 2023 project and exceeded them essentially. And so this modification through the engineers is for contract amendment for $3,550. One thing that Superintendent Etner and I discussed and wasn't thrilled to receive one of these, although we did have to engage in essentially the planning of two projects. So one thing that Superintendent Etner and I have discussed is we essentially have another project planned and prepped. And so we've had dialogue as far as how do we make sure that we get these bids ripping out faster and that we go out for bid earlier in the year and we're not squeezing projects in at the last minute. And a lot of that comes with preparation and planning. And so we do have another project just kind of waiting in the wings with the engineers. And so the next conversation would be once we elect to do a project of that scale, making sure that we don't pay for that work a second time. And so that's things process we're being mindful of in the background as well.
Just a quick question, was it for 24,015.30?
I believe it was $3,550.
The original contract for services between Short Elliott Hendrickson and the city on the project was $28,150. There's additional work that's been outlined, and so this is on page 141. So the additional monies is for the $3,550, bringing up their fee to $31,700. Another thing that I believe is contributing to this is we are fighting a little bit with the contractor on some of the metrics of the project and making sure that we're not paying for those as well. But really,
They designed us two
they
mining
designed these two
projects.
projects.
And when the first one was presented to council, it was more expensive than we wanted, than we had funds for, so we chose to do another one. I mean, they did the work, I get it. And we're loaded in the chute, we're ready to go with another project whenever we can come up with funding.
And we are holding back until we're satisfied
Correct.
with the last step.
Yes, there's retaining stuff.
Okay.
Yes.
Council?
I agree, it's extra work that they did. They already have another project that they've done the work for us, so I'll make a motion that we pay them $3,550.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, moving on to 6J, North Star Media Incorporated Moose Lake Starters at invoice.
Yes, I wanted to include this invoice in the packet and have just a tiny bit of dialogue about it. So, there's been questions that have come forward to council as far as what kind of items are within the general city government budget and the city administration budget, and those budgets incorporate all of the services that we need to function. And so the publishing of ordinances is a cost to the city. We have a requirement to publish. Publishing of the two ordinances that were adopted today is $2,415.30. I just wanted to provide visibility to these are the types of budgetary items that are included in those budgets, and the monies are part of operation and function, city function.
Are you looking for any action?
I don't need it. I can approve this invoice. I simply wanted to provide visibility.
Information?
You got it.
Questions by the council?
Thanks for sharing.
Hearing none? Okay, thank you. Moving on to 6K, Minnesota State Lottery Contract Annual Renewal.
This is an annual contract for us for the state lottery activities. It's the retailer renewal application. We've approved it year over year. This is essentially 2024's annual contract.
So open to the council. Questions?
Motion to approve the annual renewal contract with Minnesota State Lottery.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under 6L, League of Minnesota Cities Liability Coverage Waiver Form.
This is part of our insurance renewal process. Again, you may remember this from years prior. The city has elected that the city does not waive the monetary limits on municipal tort liability established by Minnesota Statute 466.04. This has happened year over year, and this is essentially looking for approval of the liability cover waiver form so we can complete our insurance renewal.
Council? Well, we absolutely need to
Sure do.
do this, so I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6M, Water and Light Commission compensation discussion.
Yes, so at the most recent Water and Light Commission meeting, it was brought forward that there had not been a wage increase in a significant period of time for the commissioners. The last increase, so I asked the office manager, Dan Brown, to do a little digging and provide some information that's in your packet. The payroll system banding currently goes back to 2015, and he could confirm that there has not been a compensation increase in that time frame. So within the past 9 years. They did, Water and Light staff did go through payroll folders back as far as 2008, and the same outcome was found. So more than likely, it's been over 16 years since there's a pay increase. The current pay is $150 a month for each commissioner and $250 for the president. The proposed amount is $300 a month per commissioner and $500 for the president. This is something that the city council would have to approve in order for it to be adopted.
So I'll open up for discussion. How many meetings, Tilger, do you think you're having in a 3-month period?
Well, I did take on the president role this year, and I would say I'm in there at least twice a week. That role, you're signing documents in that position. The meetings have gone from 1 hour to 2.5 hours regularly. It's just the amount of things that have happened, and the discussion that we had, it was more so about there hasn't been any changes. It was time to clean up the language, and that's why it's being brought forth here. It's been a long time. It's been longer than 2008 from my understanding, so it could be in the last 20 years there has been one change.
Okay. That's why I kind of proposed the change that we did here, but I got rid of the number of meetings so you don't have to keep track. That's why I jumped it up for you guys at a certain level.
Yeah, and to me, I didn't know anything about an additional meeting compensation. To me, it would just be, I just think it makes sense just to go with the proposed without the additional meetings, but that's just me. This is what's being brought forth, and we discussed it. I didn't know anything about the additional meeting.
We were keeping the the commission and the council at a similar pay. I know yours is at $5.50, I believe, councilors. I suggested $6.50 for the mayor, did you guys change that? But do you want to do something like that?
That, I think that would be fine too. I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to vote on that per se.
I understand.
But I would think that would be fine. I think it's very confusing for staff to constantly be saying, well, how many meetings do we have? I think that's
And you
difficult.
have to keep track of them, you have to document them, then you're supposed to come in and fill out paperwork, date, time, and so forth. And that's kind of why I threw that meetings out, because you guys were not doing it. And it should be done if you want to keep people volunteering, let's say you're running for office, instead of spending hours and hours at meetings and other reading, and you know the drill.
Yeah. Yeah, you can
Greg,
split
you
the
were in
difference.
that position also, where you at?
We didn't get anything.
I know, but what do you recommend, also? Interested to hear.
I would just say so much a month, and if you have something special, there's an addition. I mean, if you, like, Water and Light has your so-called, you go to the state, you could go to your thing once a year. Okay, that's, okay.
You get per diem for that.
You get per diem, but it's okay, so you get so much per day, you get per diem, and so much for your time. So do we have to okay that, or can they okay that?
That I think is controlled over there. I think what we're doing is just their meeting, monthly meeting and additional meetings if we so choose to. The travel and other stuff, that's in the commission's hands.
I would think that would be a good compromise, Mr. Mayor, by just doing what you're saying, is just maybe blend that into just one, just so people don't have to look at it and constantly wonder.
Well,
What exactly are you proposing?
that you do kind of like what we've done here, set a dollar amount that they're recommending to going to 300 a month plus additional meetings. I think it's, if you throw out that idea of meetings, set a number, set it at, kind of like we did, $5.50. I recommended $6.50 for myself, but you guys put it at $8.50, I think.
I don't remember.
And
So you're saying $300 a month and take off not have the $100 additional meeting?
but set it higher than 300 then, because then they're not getting paid for the meetings.
Come out of their pocket.
Yeah, and you could split it, too. You could do 350 if that's what you wanted to, or 550, or whatever you think. I don't see a lot of extra meetings.
If you do 2 meetings, extra meetings a month, that's 500 already. You're already at 500.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, get rid of the additional meetings on there,
Yeah.
and just change it to 350 and 550 and be done with it. And I think there's just a lot more work for the president, and I think that would be justly compensated.
I'm thinking for the time that they're putting into it, especially the president, who could come in literally every day of the week and when it's necessary. I'm thinking, I'm thinking 600 and 500. 600 the president, 600 for the president, 500 for the commissioners. You're not keeping track of any of the meetings, however many meetings there are, this is what you're paid a month. Right?
I have no idea how much time they're putting in anymore. We put in a lot of time, because we did a
Yes.
lot of extra stuff. I mean, we ran around the country because of the so-called, the internet thing. I mean, we went to different town meetings and everything, you know, settle down, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you understand how many different times they go in and stuff, so, I mean, you could say 600 and 400 or whatever, you just pick a number.
That's what I did.
Yeah, that's what I mean. you know.
Yeah,
I would say the 6 and 4 would be.
6 and 4.
6 and 4 would probably be more, I don't, as a commissioner, I did not have the responsibility sitting in the
Correct.
presidency that I do, and I realize that there's a lot of work that goes into
Yeah.
that.
So 6 and 4,
That would be a recommendation.
okay. Walter, before I ask for a motion,
Yes, I'm fine with that.
so do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we, or a proposal that we give the president over there 600 and the commissioners over there 400 a month.
All right, and get rid of the additional meeting
Get rid of
expense.
the additional
Okay.
things.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye, pose, motion carried. And you have abstained,
Yes.
so that is recorded.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 6N, election judge compensation discussion. Administrator?
Deputy Clerk Hansberry is going to handle this one.
Okay.
Deputy Clerk
Cats.
Woo-wee.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, and Administrator Owens. It was brought to our attention that we are paying our election judges a way lower rate than the surrounding communities. I reached out to 4 of the communities nearby. I heard back from 3 of them. Sturgeon Lake pays their election judges $14 an hour, head judges $16. Willow River is at $15 for election judges and $18 for their head judges. Barnum Township is $18 for election judges and the same for their head judges. We are at $10 an hour and $10.50 for our head judge. So we are significantly lower than the communities. So I would recommend an increase for election judge reimbursement wage to $16 an hour and then $18 an hour for our head judges.
Could you repeat that again? I couldn't hear that.
$16 an hour for our election judges and then $18 an hour for our head judges, which is kind of right there in the middle of all 3 of the surrounding communities.
I can also contribute that the township pays $20 an hour.
The Moose Lake Township.
Moose Lake Township.
Council, I think that's a fair recommendation, 16 and 18.
it was 16 or 15?
16 and
for-
18.
16 and 18?
I'll make a motion to go with that recommendation of $16 an hour for the election judges and $18 an hour for the head election judge.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Good job on that. Number 6-0. Local Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting set for April 4th, 2024 at 10 a.m. This is information only, correct? Or are you looking for?
Correct, and just to see who would like to attend and or get it on their schedules. I know right now I did send out a communication regarding training opportunities for this particular opportunity, but we currently have Councilor Jutman and Mayor Shaw ready to go. So we don't need anybody else to participate in the training. That opportunity has actually closed at this point in time, but just wanted to make everybody aware of the meeting date and time at this point.
When will that training open up again? Because you have to have 2 judges, and you're going to need another one next year.
Yeah. It's in the, is it in the fall?
It is in the fall, yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's for a few month period or something.
Yes.
So
And
we're
the-
good.
The county generally gives us a nice heads up and a poke regarding making sure that we have at least 2 people trained and certified.
I think everyone can make it, right? At this time?
Yes, I have that in my calendar.
Okay. All right, we're good.
Okay.
Moving on to 6P, this is the addition I asked for. This ordinance 105, I think was originally put in 1981. This is the liquor ordinance. And there was amendment put in place in 1997 by Dave Talbot and I think the pro temp mayor at that time was Bruce Caston. And they put in a recommendation in, or actually they changed the ordinance so that a business looking for a liquor license had to be the building and the equipment and all had to be set at $1 million. And it was amendment A, 105A. So I want to ask the council to give the okay to proceed in amending this ordinance. And I'll tell you why they did this at that time. David, who's administrator, wanted to bring in a high, I guess how would you call it, a high-level restaurant. I don't know, and he set it at a high dollar amount to give a liquor license. He was trying to bring in a high-end restaurant, in other words. And so they decided that would be a good idea. By doing that, they hurt other businesses that wanted to come in here from doing the same. And their idea is, 25 years later or more, didn't work. In fact, it hurt other businesses from wanting to come in. And we have that option to do so, to grant that. So I would like to start the process amending that, add an amendment to 105, taking that item out of it. And not set a limit and leave it up to the council here to make that decision themselves. I think that ties the council and it ties the administration from trying to bring in other businesses. I think we proved having the brewery that it didn't hurt the community at all. Our sales have just continued to increase and we're doing great as we heard today. So I guess I'm asking for consensus for the administration to start that process. We would have to introduce it in March, and then we would go through the same process, 3 readings for 3 months, and approving it in, that would be May. So I'm asking for consensus. Greg? Walter?
Yes.
Yes, consensus to start that process.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions on that? From there, do you have anything else we should act on with concerning that weight at this point?
No, we're in a little bit of limbo with the current license that was granted. And so we're working with our attorneys to determine how our ordinance impacts that and what the measures for determining that particular stipulation are. So we're working through that. I think irregardless of what happens in this particular scenario, we have a need to modify the ordinance. So we'll address that and we'll keep continuing to work through everything else.
With that, we'll move on to reports and correspondence. 7A, the Moosehorn Concept Closure Communication. That was from Bill Carlson, requesting us to, in essence, I'm in the process of shedding and deleting all my personal files referring to the Moosehorn Concept. I propose that the city of Moose Lake officially close the Moosehorn project. To my knowledge, no one from the city has ever track the progress of any posting submitted by the community on the Moosehorn players at ci.mooselake.mn.us email address. I will ask Rory, do you have any input?
Want me to go up there, or?
Yeah, could you please?
See, I was been in the loop with that from Bill too, and his original idea of that Moose Horn concept was to kind of get input, community input for the public access television. And we did have a little bit over the COVID time, but then since that, not so much. But there are a couple things. I know on our website right now, the two links for people to be able to send stuff are not working. They go to dead pages right now. So through the last few years, I've asked about trying to get a upload system similar to like what people would do like with Facebook or YouTube, where if they have a phone out there and they're on the trails, that they could upload us, some content, pictures too, but short little videos would be really nice, So I've kind of been working on that, but nothing's really transpired on that, trying to get like a Dropbox or some kind of a upload thing. But I think that would kind of follow along a little bit of what Bill's vision was back then, as far as, and I think things have gotten where pretty much everybody's got a cell phone. So the easiest way would be to have it so that they could upload from a cell phone to be able to send to us to do it. Now, I do some, with email a little bit, well, like video, you can't really do through email. So, you almost have to have more of a upload kind of thing. And some of the live stream things and from some of the churches like Barnum Church sends stuff through Dropbox, but it's actually their Dropbox that they have set up, and then I'm able to kind of link into that. So I think that concept of trying to set something for more public input, I think is a good idea.
I do too.
But as far as, people sending in email through email and stuff, it didn't really happen. But like I say, I think right now, the idea is great, but taking that up to where technology is now, where everybody's got their cell phones, and if they take a picture, a cool sunset or whatever. And I do have a few people that do provide me stuff of, scenery kind of things, through the years, and that through an email. But like I say, kind of taking that a step up where we could be able to do some videos. And I'm pretty sure the links probably on the website, just when the website got revamped, kind of just ended up not getting hooked up anywhere. But we had like a form on there, but you couldn't really do much as far as video on there. So, if that's something that, we could look into, I think that would be great to allow the, because to have access for the public, so like I say, so they could just upload to something of the city that then I could, push out on the public access. I think would be great.
Maybe I'll ask for consensus from the council to move ahead with Rory's idea before we officially close the other.
I think we need to know what it would cost, and we need to make sure that Rory has oversight, because we don't want things getting out there that should not be out there.
Right, it would have to come where it still would come to me. It wouldn't get directly put on the public access, but just kind of a database place, You can kind of do that with the Google Docs too, but to do a shared Google Docs, and you kind of have to have more of a one-on-one kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's another Facebook page that if they threw it on there, then I could grab it from there. I don't know. I think there's probably options that aren't real costly. I know Dropbox is not, I think the Barnum Church, of what they're sending, I think they pay $200 a year or something like that. It's not, it's not crazy, but.
That's kind of what I guess I should have explained that more, have Rory explore these ideas to come back to us. And
yeah, I kind of poked around a little bit, because like I say, I know, and to answer Bill, and I did answer him directly on the email, I have been keeping track of that email that's been going to that, and like I say, I think that's not the way of the world right now, as far as people, taking something and sending it on an email versus, doing it with their phone. Now, that being said, you know, Bill's concept of, you know, old family pictures and stuff like that, but I have been working with the Historical Society on trying to get some programming, you know, based out of that, because that was, I think, his other vision was, you know, supporting, you know, the stuff that happened in the past, and I think, you know, by partnering a little bit more with the Historical Society, there's a few people there, Danny Reed for one, that's kind of interested in putting together, you know, maybe a little local, you know, something. I don't know if anybody knows Danny Reed, but he could take any subject and be able to make a, you know, half-hour presentation right now, you know. So I think that kind of stuff on part of Bill's. I'm hoping to connect with Bill because his visions from
They're
way
way
back,
ahead of time.
they were kind of, and you know, and those visions are still there. It's just that, you know, technology definitely keeps on stepping, and back then nobody had what they do now. But like I say, right now everybody's got a video camera right in their pocket. So I mean, I think we could get some pretty nice content. But you're right, it wouldn't be anything that would go directly on there, just that we could be able to get it. You know, I mean, otherwise you're trying to share a jump drive or something, and you still can't get that off your phone very easy. I mean, it's got to be simple, just like, I don't know if you've ever uploaded like anything to Facebook or YouTube. You know, it's pretty easy on your phone. So if we could kind of create something along that line, and it wouldn't be hours of stuff, you know. So somebody takes I've seen some clips like out on the trail, you know, 30 seconds, you know, the swans when they came in and stuff. I mean, there's some pretty neat stuff that's happening around the community, and, you know, be able to show that, I think would be pretty cool.
That fall right in with Bill's vision.
With his vision, yeah. So I've got the graphic up there yet. I figured I'd wait until the council, you know, as far as with that, you know, with what he's had. But I think that same kind of idea, I think, could be molded into something that would work, where we could get people, you know, for inputting stuff and to have it on our end so that we can, you know, have something set up.
Consensus, Greg?
Try more information.
Yeah, if we're looking at a Dropbox for a couple $100, I'm all for that.
Walter?
Yeah, anything that gets more content out there is good.
So you got consensus to move
That
ahead?
sounds great, and for you guys that are in the loop of the console and stuff, I know, Walt, you've definitely provided some stuff, and we appreciate that a lot, you know, as far as pictures and things, but anybody else, you know, that's got some stuff around the city, that'd be great.
I guess the next step then is to take Bill's recommendation to close the Moose Home concept, referring to the Moose Home players at ci.mooselake.mn.us, which doesn't go anywhere, it sounds like, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's an email that, like I say, I usually check it every couple of weeks, but basically there hasn't been, I mean, you get some sales stuff that has hopped on there a little bit, you know, but as far as content, I think it was 2020, that was the last content that we got on there.
Would you recommend this also to close it?
Yeah, I think, you know, and especially if that's a request of Bill's, because I mean, that was kind of, you know,
His concept.
and that we could tie it in closer to the city, you know.
Rory, would you be willing to gather information on the Dropbox opportunity, like the
Sure,
cost and
sure.
just how?
Yeah, because I just asked the gal that has it from Barnum just the other day, just for
Sure.
kicks. I said, well, you know, what do you, and I thought that's what she said. She said it's like $200. You know, she got like a personal one now, if they let the city have a personal one or not, you know, or if it's got to be a commercial kind of thing.
Okay.
But she is able to upload like their services that are usually hour. They usually push an hour, and then he does a thing called Holy Fika on Wednesdays. That's usually about 45 minutes, and it works great for all that. You know, I don't on her end. I don't know how long it's taken her to, you know, upload. But like I say, that's way longer stuff than what I'm thinking. You know, I'm thinking if people are, you know, on their phone, you're talking, you know, a minute or two that you're shooting something. You know.
Sure. Well, we'll make sure that that email gets eliminated, and then if you want to gather information on the Dropbox,
Sure.
we'll move forward with that.
Sounds good.
Something you have time for, Rory? I've used Dropbox for like 20 years, so if you want.
Well,
me
if
to-
you, yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with what it takes to set that up, you know, I mean, I think that would do like with the, well, obviously, because whatever, I don't know what format she's using to upload the videos, but, I mean, that works good on my end, because then I can just grab them from there and that, so if we can do
Super
something
easy to
along that
use.
and have a kind of a easy, you know, easy access through the city, I think would be would be great.
Sure.
And I just fixed that link on our website to the Google Drive that we already have. I don't know how it got messed up, but I just fixed it, so it goes to the drive now.
So is that like the original forms that were on there, or that's something else?
The Google Drive that we set up for community members to be able to upload photos and videos, we set that up.
And where did that go before? Because I guess I didn't even know to be able to tell anybody.
Well, I posted it on Facebook and it's on our website, and then I believe I shared the folder with I don't know if I shared it with your farm email address or if it was with your city address, but you have access to that as well. I haven't seen any uploads other than the pictures that I uploaded initially,
right,
but
right.
It is up there. It is working well. The link.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be good.
Okay. I'm guessing we have consensus with this one that Bill's talking about, which is different than what Taylor's talking about, correct?
It sounds like there might be a desire to go away from the Google. So we'll look into the Dropbox opportunity and the differences between the two.
Okay. All right. Any other questions before we move on?
I have a question about that. Was there something about taking stuff down out of the library too that were in reference to that I remember seeing like that? So that'll take more work if we're removing things out of the library in reference to it.
What it states is, this is from Mr. Carlson, with that being said, I would propose that the city remove any reference to the Moosehorn Cops concept from local access TV and the Moose Lake Public Library. Also, the designated email address should be discontinued. See attachment of the marked version of the Moosehorn Basin connection recently submitted but never shown on local access TV or links to the city website.
Okay. I think there are some things in the library that are in reference to it.
Well, let's make sure before we do anything with it that we understand what we're doing with it then.
And I think some of that ties back to that original grant money that,
right,
with that broadband stuff and that too, so.
Yes. So we'll do this carefully so that we do not do something we'll be sorry for later with what has already been done. Thank you. Moving on to 7B, Arrowhead Library System 2024 annual budget disclosure.
This is simply just a communication from the Arrowhead Library Systems with the 2024 budget.
Any questions, discussion by the council? Anything you want to share or it's all good?
It's good.
On 7C, Windermere Township Vice Chair Tom Bakatari letter to the Moose Lake Area Fire District.
Yes, Tony Bakatari shared a letter with the city. Essentially, they're engaging with the fire district to determine whether or not the Windermere Township would like to engage in the Moose Lake Area Fire District. Everybody affiliated with this inquiry got a copy of the letter, and this is just outlining some of the means in which they're going to share information and engage further in investigating whether or not that partnership will happen.
Walt, who is our representative on the fire board, any additional information? No. Okay. Very good, thank you. Moving on to number 8, committee and board meeting minutes. We have number A, the Moose Lake Area Fire Protection District meeting minutes from January 9th, 2024. 8B, the Park and Recreation Board meeting minutes, January 8th, 2024. Number 9, announcements, Moose Lake, or regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, March 13th, 2024, 4 p.m. Moose Lake City Council chambers right here, Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 at 12 p.m. in the conference room. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission, regular meeting Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, 1 PM, Water and Light Office. Moose Lake Housing Redevelopment Authority Board, Monday, March 11th, 2024, 11 AM, Hillside Manor Office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, March 12th, 2024, 6:30 PM at the Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting Monday, March 4th, 2024, 5 PM right here. Now, before I ask for adjournment, now we passed the motion to contract. I'm just automatically taking the lead administrator to move ahead with contacting the county to start negotiations.
Correct, so the attorneys have just done very preliminary work as far as contracts are concerned, not wanting to spend a lot of city resources until there was clear direction. But what has occurred is the transfer of information. They have other contracts that the county has engaged with to other townships and cities in Carleton County as well. So they have those documents they've reviewed. They have all the information that's been transferred between both the city and the Carleton County Sheriff's Office in negotiations thus far. And so what I had communicated to the attorneys is that I would share the result and the council's decision this evening with them. And then they would then have the green light to engage in further drafting a contract. I also spoke with Sheriff Kelly Lake during the recess, and we'll start engaging immediately with discussions on what this process looks like moving forward.
Just a real quick question, and it's a very simple one. Okay, they gave a dollar amount for their proposal, and they had not finished their own negotiations on wages. If that wage went up, is that going to affect that bottom dollar amount they gave us?
So Sheriff Kelly Lake did share in one of the previous meetings that the information that was extended to the city in the initial proposal would be honored.
Okay.
And that was a comment that she made in a public meeting previously.
At least for the length of this first contract?
Correct.
Which we don't know how long it'll be, if it'll be a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Correct.
Okay.
And the city can engage in the term that council deems
Right.
desirable.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? Do you have a second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.